Hey guys, welcome to the Top Dog Season 1, Week 4. We have our two teams here today, Demios versus IVD, and we are currently about to set up this match on A Killing Waste. I have with me Slicer as my co-host. My name is Blazemo. Slicer, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited for week 4 here of Thunderdog. We're going to be casting IVD and Demos.
And for the first map we have, it's going to be A Killing Wastes. These are all going to be, some of the maps are actually going to be hot space maps, and some of them are actually going to be a little bit predated maps before HOTS was released. A couple known maps that come to mind are going to be Daybreak, Cloud Kingdom, and the unique map Fruitland.
Oh, Fruitland was actually vetoed by the team, so we won't be seeing Fruitland right for this stream. But we'll be seeing Aklon, Yunsu, Whirlwind, Cloud Kingdom, and Daybreak, unless another one gets vetoed.
I've never seen Fruitland before. Like, what is it made up of?
I'm pretty sure it's a beach. Like, it's a literal beach resort with one long attack path.
It reminds me of, there's a map in the GSL map pool that's, I don't remember what it was called, like Ganghain Beach or something like that, and it was kind of similar, like the bottom right portion of the beach was like, just sand.
Yeah, I'm actually mixing those two up. Fruitland is just a whole, like, it's a Fruitland, essentially.
Like, yeah, I remember, I've never seen it before. But yes, this is currently a 8-week series that we're going through right now, as we are in week 4. These teams have gone through several different games and series, and they all have their current points. They are competing for the 5 points and also points for winning the entire series. As each player that you'll see today has a chance to play. So if you have 5 people total, then each player has a chance to win points and deny the opposing team points also.
Oh, I see. Yeah, Fruitland's just, it's kind of like one of the Galaxy maps, but with a whole bunch of fruit just thrown all over the place. So, that's the map.
And for those of you that are just joining in, we are getting our players set up in the lobby right now, and it is basically a process, so please be patient. The first game will be played on Akalon Wastes, and it's not like Akalon Flats, that is the older version of it, since we're going to have a lot of throwback maps. Akalon Flats is the one with the shrubbery next to the third, and also the watchtowers in the center, but in this case we don't have that.
Those watchtowers were kind of useless anyway. Most you could see
yeah, but they were in the center of the
map. Well, like, they're off to the side, so you can't really see the center, and it's more like you can get drops around, and it's just entirely pointless, really.
I just watched a map, I think it was called Kula's Raven, and there was literally like 6 watchtowers in the center. There was like, it was almost like a hexagon or whatever, so you can almost see everything if you actually had units on those. So it's not as out of control as the old Akalon Flats, where you can see a lot of stuff. But I mean, the map developers have become a little bit more disciplined in the amount of watchtowers that they're given.
Yeah, well, and plus it sees that incredibly important 5th base too, in case the game actually drags on that long. So the watchtowers aren't really that useless.
So, Slicer, have you been laddering lately? I'm curious.
No, not really. I've been very lazy about it. I've only played 2 games this whole season, 1-on-1, and, well, I won them both, so...
That's good. What did you do? What kind of build did you do?
Oh, it was right when the season was beginning. I'd have to go look at the games again. It's been that long.
Oh, it was like, what, like 4 weeks ago?
Yeah, that's a long time for me.
Yeah, it is. For those of you that are curious about the players that are being set up, anybody can join these tournaments. As simple as people who play a couple games a week, hang out with your members of your clan and actually, want to practice together, even join in on stuff like this, you can too also. If you submit your 5 names to our website, as we have our links listed above, you can actually play in these tournaments and quite possibly have your tournament streamed also. So this is a chance of an opportunity that you can take, and it's available to almost anybody at this point.
Yes, please join. It's open to all leagues right now, and especially our EU, which is just starting. All you EU players who may or may not watch the stream when it's actually a reasonable time for you guys, it's open and registration's open. Feel free to register.
And both of our players have joined the lobby. We're doing the last-minute confirmation to make sure they're good to go. No weird system problems or networking issues with their internet or whatever. It's going to be a TVZ, I think it is.
We're establishing Demos' first player right now. He has to sub a few people because of no shows. So we will see who goes out there.
And while they are going through that, as I was saying, the map pool total will be Achillean Wastes, Yunsu, and Fruitland was vetoed, Whirlwind, Cloud Kingdom, Daybreak, and Polar Knight. Did we get the other teams vetoed? Did they choose to veto?
From the sounds of it, it looks like only Fruitlands was vetoed. Every other map was okay with both the teams.
Okay, that's good.
Teams were okay with the maps.
Well, they got the Protoss map in first, Achillean Waste, so for strategy, I think sending out a Protoss player would be quite effective if that is at Demos' disposal currently.
Yes, and we're still waiting on Demos to get their first player out there. But, Blaze, have you been watching WCS lately?
I have. I've noticed there's been a lot of upsets going on. For me, WCS Korea specifically, I've been watching a lot of really high-end players. Innovation was taken out. I watched Mario win a lot of really odd games. I noticed a lot of Zergs that were also playing too. There's just a lot of players all around that were just, they were favorites to win the match, but then some other random player that just, barely got into Code S, they started winning a lot of matches. And it was very unusual. So there's a lot of potential for anybody to, practice your way up and get really, really, really good in game. Doesn't necessarily, have to be somebody that's been playing for like 10 years.
Well, it looks like Demos is actually sending out Goat of Mendez right off the bat. So, looks like we're going to have a TVT on our hands.
A TVT on Achillean Wastes. Those are pretty much created as really long games. I remember actually seeing one recently where I want to say Innovation threw away his army on a ramp. That was like the first thing that came to my mind, and like there's a lot of decision making and a lot of patience that's involved in this matchup, and hopefully we get to that point where we can see that actually occur, as both the players confirm that they are ready in the lobby, so we're going to get this first match underway.
Oh, I'm excited for a TVT. TVTs generally, get a little turtly sometimes, but the constant drops and the multitasking is always a joy to watch.
Yes, and all the tank siege lines are also really critical. All right, so we are in the lobby, and it should load up momentarily. And on the top left part of the map, we have our Terran player for the first series of the game. His name is Goat of Mendez. And on the bottom right corner, we have our orange Terran player. His name is FOV.
I'm kind of curious what FOV stands for.
Fog of Vision. Let's go with that.
Fog of Vision?
No, let's just come up with something that may not be it. Fog of Variance. I'm trying to associate it with like the game itself.
forever over vultures.
Vultures is a Terran player, considering we have Widow Mines and we want our Spider Mines back because they're just so much better than Widow Mines.
Oh, back with that wonderful, wonderful unit control in Brood War.
Yes.
You could just plant mines around an entire army and just watch it go boom.
I feel like there's a lot more micro-intensive requirements for vultures, considering how many spider mines you could have, and I think it was like 3 per vulture. So you're just literally hurrying up and using them. Whereas now we have the convenience of the amazing Widow Mine that could just put it somewhere, and then you just never have to pay attention to it anymore.
Oh, very true. But I think there was a little trick to it. If you tried to lay a spider mine with all of your vultures selected on the mini-map, it would send all of them to lay it as they were, with the point you clicked being the center of your units. So instead of it just trying to bunch up and plant spider mines in one spot, it would move and plant spider mines as we go. But oh, hey, we got a forward barracks.
Yes, and Go to Mendez is already at the base and realizes, hey, I don't see any barracks here. What is going on? So he may just think about a proxy being going on, and he's already scouting around FOV's base.
FOV got his gas a little bit early, so we might see Reapers on the way, if not a reactor on this barracks.
And we're going to see whether or not the Reaper control of either player is up to par. For Reapers, they both recover relatively quick, and Go to Mendez is actually going through the Marine map route. So if he can get a couple of Reapers and focus fire very early on, these Reapers can do a lot of damage. And a proxy factory, very interesting, being built by FOV. I've rarely seen this before, and what he's probably going to do with this is he will float it right on his plateau and begin Widow Mine production after the first Reaper.
Yes, but Go to Mendez is actually scouting it out. He sees the barracks, and, well, he saw the gas at home, he assumes the Reaper, and, well,
Wow.
He's just being verified right now.
Wow.
Oh, 2 SCVs out there, huh?
Really smart decision making by FOV to go around the SCV before actually attacking it. If he would have initially attacked it as soon as he saw it, he would have pushed the SCV towards the factory being produced right now. I feel like FOV has this build really, really planned out.
Very much so. The factory is landing now. He does have enough gas to start producing Widow Mines, and there it goes.
So Go to Mendez is definitely a little bit keen, but he's not keen to what else is coming. Their 2 Reapers have spawned, and it looks like that they're going to go straight for the base, and he does have enough to kill that, but it's a matter of using the SCV to buffer. And surprisingly enough, not right focus fire going on, so the Marines are going to ward back the 2 Reapers for the time being.
Oh, and Go to Mendez has been using those mules. He's not going to have the energy for scan, and he's getting a starport right now, but that Widow Mine is done, and these Reapers are just distracting Goat right at the front door.
Yeah, a 2-way prong attack, so to speak, as the second Widow Mine is being produced, and the front is definitely held off, but the Widow Mine is about to get into position, and this is going to do a lot of SCV damage if it's timed out correctly.
Oh, here it goes. The Widow Mine's moving into the position. It's only going to be able to kill one. Oh, there's a second one.
It's not being monitored, too. Go to Mendez is not paying attention. He's more focused on the 3 Reapers that are in front of his base right now. SCVs can actually survive. They have 40 health left.
Well, SCV is having 45 health. That extra 5 definitely does the work that it's needed. But IVD's FOV is very smart with these Widow Mines, splitting them up as he has. It's going to take 2 scans to get those, and a third one's done as well. Ooh!
As more Marines take damage and the first scan has been established, those Reapers are definitely qualified to go straight for the base. Wow, so many SCVs being taken out, already at 5 this early in the game, as no economic damage taken so far by FOV.
FOB being really, really cheeky. These Widow Mines are just going to cause Go to Mendez so many problems, and his army's parked right on Widow Mine. It's about to come back up.
As Widow Mines are just constantly being produced, that factory has a bazillion health points, and the Reapers have not even been taken care of yet. All the Marines are going to be taken out at this point. There's definitely a possibility there's only 2 of them, and there's only a couple of Hellions. It's not going to be enough damage, especially since he's more focused on these Widow Mines.
Oh, there's only 1 Widow Mine left at the mineral line, but it's done. But with the 3 that been going off. It's doing so much damage. God of Mendes just doesn't have the money to produce.
Yeah, there's just too much support damage for those Reapers. They have not even been taken care of as the first tank comes out.
A siege tank's definitely going to be a lot to hold off, but ooh, that was a good Widow Mine detonation right there. One more Widow Mine, if it gets out of position and burrows, it's going to do some damage, but it gets taken out.
Wow, and that was 15 SCVs killed for that factory, and the Reapers are going to come in and now focus fire on the SCVs that have extremely low health, which brings the total to 21.
Goat of Mendes has held this off for now, but FOV is almost double the supply of them, and already has a third base on the way with his infrastructure up and running.
And a third CC is being created by FOV as he's focusing on getting a lot of his units out. He realizes that the best thing that Goat of Mendes could do right now is to try to either contain early or follow it up with some sort of push. I mean, he's got to get some sort of economic damage done, and he needs to plan over the course of the next 5 minutes to do that. Otherwise, FOV's extremely thought-out plan is going to get him ahead for the course of the rest of the game.
Goat of Mendes only has 19 workers, so we're 5 idling around the second CC for Goat, but he lost all those to the Reapers while he was cleaning up that last Widow Mine.
And the barracks spots the oncoming engagement coming with like 1 tank and 5 Marines. Although they do have siege mode because it's free now, there is a lot of Marauders already created and a couple medevacs already ready. That's like literally just like speed boost into that.
Well, Stim's already done. That siege tank's only going to get 1 shot off.
And that was quite the one-sided trade for FOV. That was a lot of supply taken away, especially with the Marines.
Looks like FOV is just in a commanding position, and his natural's already essentially saturated. And while the third's done, he hasn't floated it off yet.
And for Goat of Mendes' production, he is starting medevacs as his rivaling player so far is actually got all of his units inside of his medevacs, and he's going to go do a Doomdrock. He realizes that he has a extreme supply advantage at this point, and he is definitely capable of just doing this and trying to outright end the game at this point.
With this push in here, good stim, and Goat of Mendes might just have to tap out. The army's out of position, and the siege tanks are at the front.
Yep, he does realize that, but I don't think 6 Marines is going to kill all this. All those SCVs just got pulled, and they're going to be used as buffers now as he's forced to all in to try to kill this attack. And those siege tanks are not going to do any damage as almost all the SCVs get taken out.
Goat of Mendes is trying to trade as best he can, but FOVs just lifts and run away. There's only 1 Marine left, and trying to shoot at 4 medevacs just doesn't work too well most of the time.
SCVs get pulled yet again as almost 36 workers have been killed so far. FOV in a dominating position. I think this may just end the game as he just called out GG as IVD takes the first game of the series.
That was a really interesting play by FOV. Landing that factory in Goat of Mendes' base and just making a couple Widow Mines. Very, very cheeky play.
Yeah, it kind of just, I guess it tests whether or not, you're constantly using scans and, you're not just assuming that it's just going to be Reapers. There's a lot more that could follow up with it. And that's where just hiding the factory in general, it's almost like a backup plan beyond just, saying, oh, I know Reapers are coming, I'll be okay.
Oh, well, those Reapers definitely did the damage that they needed to. The distraction tactic was there. Very well thought out by FOV, I must say.
As we are going to get into the second match of this series, we're going to get our players established in the lobby. For the map, I think it's going to be a Yotsu LE.
Yes, it will be. Now, I actually kind of like this map, but we'll get into it once we get into the game. It just has a really interesting third setup. That's all.
Mostly because of the ROPS. You can press the info tab to look at it.
Yeah, I was looking at it.
I have it downvoted because.
Downvoted?
Yes.
Why is that?
CCs. Well,
Floating CCs?
That's one of the reasons.
The two bases in the corner.
Yeah, like I think it's really easy to take, but then at the same time, I don't prioritize taking out the rocks. So every time I think about like going over and over there, I was like, I could either set up a forward fourth, or I could try to attack rocks, and I don't like rocks, so I stay away from them. Especially on Killing Waste, I never attack the rocks unless I feel like I have an open, time period that I can actually attack the rocks.
Yeah, breaking down those rocks generally is a little iffy, especially as Zerg when you have to be out on the map and making sure that no funky shenanigans are going on so you can just macro up behind it.
Yeah, putting proxy factories on top of the rocks, or actually near, on that island, and then producing, I don't know, medevacs and saying, hey, the medevacs are coming over here. And there's a lot of opportunity to do things. That's why people are trying out these things. Maybe they got it from somebody, doing that build order. That's how I was able to interpret what that was, because I've had it happen to me before. So, I mean, anybody could do it in any matchup. It doesn't have to be limited to just TVT.
Well, it looks like Roach King will be the player from IVD. We're still waiting on Goat's Demos' next player, so we're in a little bit of delay.
For the record, Roach King has 1,000 games played this season, so lots of practice put in by him. That's definitely quite the number.
1,000 games. That's man. Grinding those achievements.
Oh, man. Yeah, I know. It reminds me of when people were trying to get the 10K wins achievement, and oh yeah, you can just cannon rush every game, and 5-minute games you could probably get it in a matter of a month.
Well, you could also 6-pool. I mean, that tends to strike about at the same time, and if caught off guard, it definitely does a lot more damage.
Yeah, I was watching a stream yesterday where that's all they were doing. They were just constantly basically 6-pulling. Actually, they were 10-10ing during ZVZs, and each time they 10-10, it was they made the build work, and the banelings were just, not necessarily detonating on drones. They were just buying as much time as they can, so the lings that were supporting it were doing a lot of damage. So it's definitely feasible to just constantly cheese, and that's how you want to play, then so be it. There's definitely a lot of strategies you can do, and they're all legit.
Hey, if it gets you the win, it's fine, so long as you're not hacking.
So this match is going to be a ZVP on Yunsu, and I'm just going to double check that. Yeah, these people with level 30s all across the board are definitely a lot more confusing than ones that just have level 30 on one of their tabs.
Hey, I'm 89. I only need one more level with Terran.
What race do you play, Splicer?
I'm a Protoss player.
Okay.
Even though I have 18 wins as Terran this season, and it's my worst race ever. It's all the team games. All the team games.
There's bars. Oh, okay, so the bars is XP. Yeah, I'm done. I thought it was so if you look at the so if you look at the bars on
what's this blue bar under something called level?
Bars are. I don't know anything about these XP systems. I've never played an MMO before. This is the first MMO I've played, and it's called StarCraft. But there are, like I was saying, those blue bars under the 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, and 4v4. Those are actually the percentage of games that you played in terms of those 4 types of games.
I always kind of figured that because of how it's set up. At first I thought it was just how many wins you had, but then once you lose a game, it's well, the bar is still full. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the only other thing could be just a distribution of play.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of odd because it's never been verified to me what it means. But as I say that, the players are verified to be ready, so we're going to count down the lobby as we get going with the second match with Demios versus IVD.
Ooh.
Alright, so we are about to get this game on the way. I see a blue bar, and it's currently at 70%. Now it's at 100%, and here we go. On the bottom left corner, we have our Zerg player from IVD. His name is Roach King.
Wonder if he's going to use roaches.
On the top right corner, we have our Protoss player from DBOs. His name is Stevie Ruggles. And if qualified, I will definitely make roach puns. I promise. In this CVP. Just give me some time. I'll build up to eventually doing it. I don't want to do it right now. I don't want to spoil all the fun.
Oh, it looks like a forward pylon from Stevie Ruggles. You're going to see Forge Fast expand, it looks like.
And now is the time for Slicer to tell us more about this amazing map called Yunsu.
Yunsu, a little bit of an interesting map. Oh.
Go mech on it.
Go mech on it. Yes. Let's see mech in a VVP.
Well, what they're going to do is the drone is going to cast Neural on an SCV, and it's going to drop from like a random warp prism.
I didn't know drones could cast Neural.
Yes, they can. This is like new abilities. This map is definitely not modified at all, I promise. Just kidding. It's all normal. If you click on stuff, you can build.
Okay, back to the map though. A very safe natural. A little bit of rocks to be broken down if necessary. And the wall you're basically going to want to make at the right after the ramp for your natural base if you're a Protoss player. But the third has a little bit of an interesting mechanic. It has an open door in the front and in the back. So, ladies, back door too. But the rock tower can just come off and block the front door, adding a nice little buffer. And, well, with the backdoor path being so tiny, you could just set up a unit or two, or just, hey, an overlord or a pylon on the high ground, just to see anything coming by.
It kind of reminds me of Ohana in terms of being able to see things from a distance and still having the rocks on the opposing side of your base. So, I mean, you could choose to kill them, so that way you can make a bigger wall, like kind of like all across the shrubbery, or you can just leave them there, so that way you don't have to get counterattacked for the entire game. It's kind of a personal choice, and it's up to the defender in this case.
Yes, and in the top left and bottom right-hand corner, we have two isolated bases. Now, there's no Terran, so it's not going to be, used unless it gets to that late of a game. But when our normal ZVPs, we see a lot of two-base pushes. So, you might not see it.
Yeah, and it's going to be up to Stevie Ruggles whether or not he wants to try to abuse having really good pylon positioning. There's also the possibility of a little bit of experimenting, as Protoss players have been going Oracle first to be able to get a revelation and try to deny creep spread throughout the course of the mid game, as you don't need an observer with it, so you can just cast the sight spell and then just say, hey, I want to kill a bunch of creep tumors.
Revelation is a very handy spell. It actually lasts as long as the cooldown is, so you can just continuously use it as long as your Oracle has the mana for it, or energy.
Yep, that's right. Just because creep spread can let you see the entire map does not mean you can infinitely deny creep spread. It's all about how well you control the Oracle and how much effort you put into it throughout the course of the game.
Well, it looks like Stevie is getting a little bit of a scout. He's seeing a couple queens at the main, but it's just one extra queen most likely for creep spread and defending off very, very annoying harass from gateway play, if we do see gateway play, or Stargate play, not gateway play.
As both gases are taken, we haven't seen his tech choice yet, but as I say that, the Stargate is actually put down about 15 seconds earlier. There's a little bit of cutting going on with that. I think it was the Zealot was a little bit delayed, so that Stargate was up a little bit earlier, and we may see an Oracle first.
Stevie going really heavy on attack. His units are going to be delayed. He's not going to have a sentry out fast enough. And that's actually a pretty big hole there for the Demos player. So
yeah,
we're going to see if that comes into effect.
I mean, there may be a lot of run-bys. There may be, I just don't need to wall it off because eventually I'm just going to put something in front of it. There's a lot of different things that go on with that. Usually people predetermine their Zealot positioning before they get to that situation, but Stevie Ruggles does not comply with that as a layer morphed right now for Roach King.
And big surprise, Roach Warren's coming down for Roach King.
Yeah, he's taking his 3 gas right now, which means he's probably going to get really good on the roach production. That's a little over exaggerating considering now the 4th is being taken really early. So he's going to be floating a lot of gas. I would imagine this is going to be a immediately tech put down right after this layer completes.
Stevie looks like he's going for a heavy Phoenix build. He might get 2 or 3 Phoenix and a Void Ray just to go hunt down Overlords. Very old school style, but denying those Overlords in the site and all that map vision right off the bat, it's always very handy. But it kind of puts you at a little bit of a tech disadvantage when, 100 roaches come charging into your base and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yep, because Phoenix will probably just lift up a bunch of roaches and hit for about 3 damage on each of those roaches. So, it may not do as much damage, but it still can provide a supporting role if, let's say, Hydralisks or Infestors come out, as the Hydrogen does get placed down immediately by Roach King.
Ooh, I've never noticed that. Hey, look under the Hydroden. That creep's actually falling off the cliff and going all the way down. I'm not sure if that's a graphic error or if it's entirely intended.
Well, whenever Zerg units die, then the graphic shows that they go off the cliff. They go down the cliff quite quicker, so that's why that is.
Oh.
So 3rd Nexus gets placed by Stevie Ruggles. It seems like he's going to try to make this a little bit more of a macro game. And surprisingly enough, he's not taking a forward 3rd, although this creep is being denied here for Roach King in terms of getting that 3rd Nexus there. It may or may not be in his best interest to take a forward 3rd if he can actually defend it and, immediately wall off with those rocks on both sides, or just one side and then wall off the other.
Oh, it looks like we might see a little bit of a timing push from Roach King, or at least a little bit of a prod. There's a lot of Zerglings and a few Hydras out on the field. We might see an attack on this 3rd soon, but we're going to call this the Ohana 3rd just because the rocks are blocking it off.
Mm-hmm. And that 3rd is got some... Yeah, I guess cannons are being established right now, but these units look like they're about to get ready. I feel like a couple of these Lings may die. No, they won't in this case. And as Slicer pointed out, this is going to be a Hydra speed, Hydra range attack timing at around 140 supplies. It's pretty common if there's nothing going on and the toss takes an early 3rd, so it's pretty much normal. We see whether or not they trade cost efficiently with each other.
Ooh, Stevie getting a good scout with those Phoenix, but actually losing one of the Hydras. Those Phoenix have already essentially become useless, so it looks like a Robo Bay was built, or Robo Facility was built, but no Bay on the way just yet.
Yeah, he's actually getting a Blink Tech from his Twilight Council. I'm not sure how well Blink Stalkers will fare against this attack. He's going to have to be able to get them out like ASAP, because he does have a lot of sentries. We're going to see whether or not he gets really good force fields. This attack's actually going to go for the natural.
Oh, if Stevie's caught out of position, that entire front wall will get demolished by these Hydras.
And I don't know if +2 is really important because he's got that Twilight. That's the whole reason why he's doing that, because he's proto boosting it, and that's going to get disabled. That's a huge blow, as now he realizes, hey, I need to do some damage here. He's got his entire composition. A couple force fields go down, but they really just kill a lot of the Lings. None of the Hydras got taken out.
That Cybercore did fall, so there's not going to be any Stalker production or Sentry production for a little bit, about 40 more seconds until the new one gets made. So these Sentries and Stalkers is all Stevie's going to have.
As a bunch of Zealots get warped in, and it seems to have incited Stevie Ruggles to say, hey, I need to get some damage out because I didn't really accomplish anything, and I made a bunch of Sentries. So as I say that, he moves back at the same time. I feel like he overcommitted to Sentries early on. It hasn't really done anything with them yet.
Well, there's no AoE tech coming out of Stevie, and just an Immortal Gateway army is not going to cut it against a Roach Hydra, especially with speed and range being done and +2 attack on the way, +1 armor just started. Stevie might actually lose this whole army if he chooses to attack, but it looks like he's going to play more defensively.
He could set up a bunch of gateways and block off this as much as he can. He's trying to get himself into a little more of a defensive posture. I really would like to see a Warp Prism being built so he can try to get some damage out. If the Zerg basically keep their lead as it is right now, he's probably going to get a really good engagement. It's all going to be up to force fields at this point.
Ooh, Stevie losing that Observer. There's a few Overseers, but good force fields trapping off the rest of the Lings, so we're not going to see any run-bys. But Templar Archives being dropped by Stevie, here comes the AoE damage that he desperately needs. But I don't know about Templar. Roaches do have a lot of health.
Yeah, and I think it's more of a focus for the Hydralisks in this case, as an Immortal is randomly walking around back and forth. We're going to get a close-up of this kill, because that's totally required. I think he's actually going to get away in this case. That's quite close.
Oh, there he goes. Oh, and Stevie actually getting his army in a pretty bad position, losing that Mothership Core and a couple of units just for free, essentially.
Yeah, Stevie Ruggles is trying to buy as much time as he can as he is getting Storm produced, and I'm not sure if it's getting Chrono Boosted because I have no idea where this is at. Yeah, it is being Chrono Boosted right now. He's trying to buy as much time as he can as the sentries get caught out of position.
Ooh. And the need is making him warp in Archons, and the force fields are pretty good, but the Concave for Roach King is just going to be too much.
Yeah, the Archons are just sitting there, and most of their composition is just not attacking right now, and I don't think this will entirely win, as a lot of the warp-ins for Zealots just get created. He suddenly realizes that his Archons are not doing anything right now, and they could just get pushed in right now and do as much damage as possible. There he goes. He's getting more Zealot warp-ins. I'm pretty sure he should be able to hold off his attack.
Well, +2 is done for Roach King, so these Hydras are just machine guns, just destroying everything and anything, but without the Roaches to support, they're going to take a lot of damage, but with Blink Stalkers, they don't really hold up very well to Hydralisk.
Yeah, and that third is getting focused. That's probably going to get taken out, and that is huge. Roach King not only didn't lose any supplies, GG gets called, and IVD takes the second game of the series.
Stevie Ruggles choosing to delay his AoE tech really, really hurt him there. If he had a couple Storms, or if he had at least one or two Colossus out, it could have been a whole different story, but, controlling his army as he did, and getting caught out of position once or twice, really did hurt him in the end.
Yeah, he kept making Immortals after he saw the initial Hydra push, and I don't think it really did anything for him against just seeing that. And when he saw the attack composition, he just immediately force fielded. I think that occurred twice, as you pointed out on the second time, where there were a few more Lings. He lost a lot of force fields, and then during the final attack, he got some of the composition out of the way, but then after that, the Zerg composition was just free to kill as much stuff as possible. He even got a really good concave in the process of doing that.
Yes, and even if all those Hydras were attacking buildings at the time, it was just still too much. There was just nothing Stevie could do at the time.
Yeah, that's pretty much why it's really important to get your force fields to trap units. It only needs to trap about, maybe like 30-50% of the composition, and then you should slowly be able to build a supply efficiency lead over the course of, making those Immortals, whereas you got to the point where there was like 30 Hydralisks. There was like, hey, I can't kill, Immortals can't kill Hydralisks fast enough, so you're basically not really trading at that point.
Yes. And I'm still going to chalk it up to the lack of AoE damage, especially after those Phoenix scouted the Hydralisk den. Or did they? I don't know, they don't even remember.
Yeah, I think he just made the uncommon build of building Phoenix. They don't really accomplish anything, and I don't think they accomplished anything in that match either. I almost feel like he could have just straight teched into Void Rays and had something alternative to kill the Roaches quicker.
The most the Phoenix are going to do are deny Overlord scouting, but when you build your tech under an Overlord, it's kind of hard to deny scouting.
Well, you'd proxy your Spire, or you'd proxy your Infestation Den or something like that, and it'll be like, oh, you don't know what I'm teching, so it kind of makes it... I don't know, I guess the substitute for building Phoenix would be not wasting hallucinations. I guess that's the only thing I can think of, if you make one Phoenix.
Well, the hallucinations are essentially free as long as you have a good amount of sentries to hold off any forces. Like, if all your sentries are at max energy, then you can just essentially designate one to be the hallucinated one and just hold it back in your mineral line or something, just in case.
And he did have 8 sentries, so I mean, he had more than enough energy. I really do feel like he could have just abandoned that and just maybe got Immortals out quicker and Colossus out quicker. These are all alternatives that he could have done.
Yes. Oh, it looks like players are getting set up right now. It looks like there won't be as much delay as the past two matches. That's good. Hooray! Nobody likes delays.
And we are going to be doing a TVP on Whirlwind, if I triple check this correctly, because he has level 30, as I'm still relying on levels, because it seems to be the most effective way for me to confirm races.
It looks like the race check is underway, but we might see a PVT, it looks like.
Yep. And we've seen this before. Storms are so amazing. Everybody likes Protoss Storms. I think they're so cool as a Zerg player. Definitely not being
Really
sarcastic at all. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm reading the chat. A little friendly banter between these guys, but wow.
But no, really. I think that's in TVP case, and they just released the numbers for this. Actually, if I could look those up real quick.
Numbers? Are you the win-loss ratio for PVT?
Yes. And wasn't it like 58%? I think it was.
I don't remember. I didn't read that.
Let's see here. Oh man, I just had those two. Just had those.
But it looks like the players are ready.
So they are ready and we are good to go. So we are counting down at that point. Making a Big Mac joke.
Oh. Oh, Pickle's giving us a few good pickle-based jokes beforehand.
That's good. We need those. And unfortunately, first let me introduce the players. On the bottom right corner, we have our Protoss player. His name is Hekno.
Pink power.
And on the top left corner, we have our Terran player. His name is Pickles.
Oh, Pickles being about as manner as you can be. Just to start off the match. But PVT, I don't really like that matchup very much. Bioball is just so strong until you get AoE damage.
And there's definitely a lot of timings you could do before you actually get to that point. As I was saying earlier, the matchup is actually quite balanced for September. It seems like around 49 to 51%. I was wrong, unfortunately. It's not 58 right now. It's probably another matchup that I was thinking of.
Oh, well, if the stats say it's pretty even, then we might see a really good game here.
Yeah, there's definitely a potential to do other things besides get to the point where it's like, hey, I need to do an SCV pull at 160 supply, otherwise he's going to have Psystorm, and I don't know what I'm going to do against it.
It's going to be a very sad panda, that's what it's going to be.
Well, that's what some players have resorted to, because they realize that if they get to that segment of the game, it's really difficult for them to, multi-prong drops and lose part of their composition and try to risk doing that. That's why they're really, I don't see them as much, but then I see a Warp Prism warping in Zealots, DTs, and I'm like, man, that's like, it's kind of odd or off the wall that one player can do that, but the other can't.
Yes, Terran's usually requiring a little bit more APM and splitting the army because of how small their units are. Protoss units are a little bit bigger and don't necessarily need the APM to split besides the storms. Charge lots are just, they'll go and surround on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Stalkers, go on.
That's the difference between the two. As two gas being created for Hekno, and he's doing this 2 out of 3 gas thing again, so he can get his, what is it called, Warp Gate upgrade out at the same time as his initial Stalker.
And Mothership Core.
Yeah, so he gets it all on one shebang bang.
Or at least it's timed well enough. But it looks like Hekno's actually skipping the Zealot. If Pickles was scouting earlier, he would see an engineering bay at the natural. entirely blocking any attempt to try to expand.
Both players are very nice to each other. They're even reading their probes as they enter the base, as the first Marauder actually getting scouted, and that's a little strange because at the same time the Tech Lab is also researching something. So if Heckno can put 2 and 2 together, he may realize that Concussor Cells is being researched, and that may be a little indicative of a forward timing push that'll be coming out very early. Wow.
Ooh, Marauder slow push is always annoying to deal with, especially if you don't have any Zealots to absorb the shots. Stalkers are just going to melt to Marauders, even if they don't have stem. And with slow, well, they're not getting away anytime soon.
And the rally is set up for the forward Marauder right now, so this is going to be an attack. And the SCV is scouting the last position just to verify where the Protoss is. And this will come off of, I mean, I've never seen this before, so it's a little bit different for me. I'm not sure what this is going to accomplish, though.
Being on the receiving end, it's very, very annoying. With Warp Gate not done, you can't warp in the reinforcements that you need, and you're only going to have a few units on the field. The Mothership Core will be able to help defend and clean this up. That's why it's kind of fallen out of style, and you don't see it much anymore. Marauders can't really shoot grenades upwards, unfortunately.
Well, if this was horseshoes, you could shoot it up in the air and it might hit the Mothership Core, but in this case, it's actually going to focus on the Nexus that was just created, and it's a little bit greedy in this case, as units are being rallied across the map. The Marauder is being focused, but he's being microed at the same time. I don't think this Nexus is going to go down, though.
No, but a lot of damage is going to be taken. The Stalker actually gets trapped a little bit. Sentry is there to try and stop the Marauders from pushing up, but the Mothership Core will hold off the Marauders for now.
Yeah, as Slicer just pointed out, the Mothership Core pretty much denies being able to do this. I would imagine if that was not there, this would have caused a lot more damage and quite possibly ended the game. I feel like that Nexus was a really greedy choice. And with the amount of units that he had, he probably would have lost those and or the Nexus. It probably would have just got forced to cancel.
Oh, back in old Wings of Liberty, when you see this coming at you, there's pretty much nothing you can do if you skip the first Zealot. Like, you need all the units you can to defend against the slow, but that Mothership Core just makes it so much easier to defend off a slow push like that.
As we see Robo being produced by Heckno, he may go into early obs. He may immediately start Immortal production. We're going to find out within the next 2 seconds. There goes the first obs.
Well, we do have a proxy pylon sitting at the third base for Pickles, so we could see a little bit of a run by if Pickles keeps his units out on the map, but he's bringing them back home for now.
Yeah, those could be used later if Pickles decides to take his third on the bottom left side and not the right side. He could pretty much just use it to infinitely warp in Zealots and act as a pseudo warp prism, so to speak, instead of getting the warp prism half across the map.
We have a Robotics Bay coming down from Heckno, so we might see 1 or 2 Colossus pop out into a quick High Templar switch. We might not even see range be researched for Colossus. But with the Starport out on the field and a reactor just finishing, Medevac production is going to start, and we may see some drops really quickly.
Yeah, Terran's getting all the upgrades right now. He just got his stim, and he's working on combat shields, and he's doing yet another forward pressure as the Observer actually spots this time. So he's not in the dark on what's coming his way, and at the same time, he could probably boost his medevacs half across the entire map to be able to start healing on those forward units.
So this is a pretty standard push from Terran player. It's going to hit at about 10 minutes, but with the 3 sentries there, it's going to be enough to hold it off as long as Pickles doesn't try to charge up the ramp. But if he does right now, they're too far back. They could actually pick off the entire army and the natural.
Yeah, he does have his first Colossus being created right now. It has another 20 seconds until it's complete. But due to the amount of hesitation caused by Pickles, I do think that the Colossus will be out as soon as this attack hits.
This is definitely just to test the composition and see what tech Heckno is going. But with the Colossus out and the Mothership Core giving the Nexus Cannon, it'll just be held off, and Pickles will go for the drop instead.
Pickles is definitely not going to fall back for this, though. This time he's going to go around, and it was spotted with the Observer as 2 Zealots are attacking the 3rd CC that is being produced quite out in the open. That forces a cancel, But the real question is he going to get any probe kills with this alternative drop? Is he going to try to bait attention?
Ooh, Heckno actually just warped in some units at his natural, and the cooldowns are just finishing. He only has 2, and he's going to have to split his army.
Man, this is one Colossus actually running over there. And the Marauder is quite fallen. He does not get to keep up, as I think it was 8 probes got killed in this scenario.
Yes, 8 probes have been killed in total for Pickles, and it looks like he went to drop again just to try and pick off this Colossus, but just ended up losing a few units and almost lost a medevac too.
Yeah, he was just testing the waters in that case, and it didn't work out for him too much, but unfortunately his third CC, it would have been already created, and it would have already been making meals on it, but that warp in, that pylon is still sitting there. I would imagine that's going to be there for probably the rest of the game.
Well, if 4th bases come up, that's going to be the main 4th to take. And I'm actually surprised that those Zealots were able to take that out. Pickles getting a little stretched thin on his multitasking, it seems like.
Yeah, and that could build up over the course of the game, and eventually DTs could be coming from that pylon too, as scans are going everywhere just to confirm where the status of the Protoss is in terms of his economy. He is building yet another Colossus. He already has 2. Just gonna have a lot of AoE already set up. Is the Viking count there?
There's a Zealot actually holding position on the 3rd, so another CC can't land, but a drop's coming in.
And once again, Pickles is going to try to cause the issue, but there's a wall of gateways and also photon overcharge by the Nexus. I don't think this is going to really cause anything, but this one Colossus is like, hey, I'm going to soul this entire composition as he's trying to get away, and he just barely gets away yet again. He has 2 medium health Colossuses that have not died, and that's Colossi.
Pretty good SimCity from Heckno, though. Not being able to let Pickles get his drops in, but it could actually come back to hurt him if Pickles can actually get behind all these buildings, and he's just going to have a huge wall of his own structures blocking him from defending.
Yeah, that's true. The Zealots that'll get warped in will probably get clumped up if that actually continues. His factory is actually going to place right next to this Nexus, but unfortunately it can't land because we have these fatter Zealots underneath it.
I never understood how units can block buildings from landing. It's just like, come on, you're a huge building that probably weighs 1,000 times more than what you're landing on. Just squish it. Just squish it.
Nope, as this is actually causing a distraction right now, and in this case, not a drop going through. The Viking count is starting to build up, and a bit of a wall. Both players are a little bit... Actually, the Terran player has a little bit more SCVs, 8 to be specific, against the Protoss player who has 49 probes currently.
Those workers killed by that drop is actually starting to pay off. Their macro is pretty similar, but the drop did the damage that it needed to.
As this drop is definitely going to go around yet again to try to figure out... And you just scan to figure out where the composition is. What can I do? Where can I attack from? So the very small Pickles composition that is a little bit ragged is actually going to once again buy attention as he stims forward, but I don't think Heckno is going to fall for this time as a multi-pronged attack going on.
Pickles still dropping behind the gateway wall. He's killing off the warped-in units while this alternate attack hits the 3rd Nexus and gets it down pretty low, but it'll be driven off by Heckno's main army.
Yeah, and a little bit of a supply lead now because of all the ruckus that was called with these 2 attacks, 20 to be specific. And I feel like Heckno, eventually that Nexus will be attacked once again, so he's going to probably need a little bit more cannons to buffer that Nexus from getting falled.
Ooh, Pickles is actually dropping into the natural, trying to snipe off the Nexus, but decides to start going after Stalkers in the army instead. He's going to lose a lot of these.
Oh my gosh, holy cow, he just lost like 8 supply, and that is definitely a huge blow. He was already behind in supply, and now he's getting close to max as he's ready to do his attack in the process of still dropping. Pickles is really persistent about this.
Pickles is being really, really annoying with these drops, but Heckno is just responding perfectly to every single one of them. If Pickles would not just blow his boost as early as he has been, he could actually get behind the gateway wall there. But you got to give it to Hekno and his well-placed observers being able to spot pretty much everything coming from Pickles.
And a lot of the scans are also being wasted by Pickles just to try to identify where his opponent's composition is. So whenever he's doing these attacks, he's almost forcing a scan each time. As Hekno's SimCity is getting even greater as he's about to put down 4 gateways and also 4 pylons.
Since Storm is done, and there are 8 High Templar out on the field and 0 Ghosts. So
yeah.
Pickles is going to have to go through a meat grinder before he's going to be able to do any damage to this army.
Terran realizes that he is at that point of the game where he's going to have to deal with storms, but he's going to have to try to find some alternative method to being able to bait out a little bit of cost-efficient supply kills as his 2-2 is about to finish.
Counterattack heading into Pickles' 4th base. A couple more zealots. Just being annoying and denying these bases.
Yep, really good play by Hekno as a drop goes in by Pickles. He's once again in the same spot yet again, but all he's really doing is killing production facilities. Is that really going to do anything to this composition?
Well, he's going to have to deal with the army sooner or later, but killing those gateways just hampers the reinforcements of Hekno. It's just more minerals you're going to have to invest in infrastructure, and less you can spend on your army, but when you're maxed out, it just doesn't matter. You can throw down as many gateways as you want.
Yeah, he already has this gateway cooldown already created, as one of his robos got taken out because it was in the way. The Colossus were too big, and once again, a little bit of a focus for Pickles in terms of the gateways that are created.
Did Hekno just kill his own cybernetics core on accident?
He killed I thought it was a robo.
No, that was a cybernetics
right?
core. Yeah, he's rebuilding it.
Oh, that was interesting. I don't think it bothers him too much in this case because he is maxed, so he is A-okay in regards to this. But once again, another multi-prong attack. I feel like he's just throwing away a lot of his supply. He needs to be focusing more on either the supply of his opponent or probes.
Pickle's just doing anything he can to do damage, and while he's picking away at the infrastructure, once again, the army's still out there, and 3-3 just started for Pickles.
And the Forge is just really unresponsive at this point, as the toss composition is at 3-1 with 1 attack. And he is scanning. He's really persistent about these scans. He's just constantly monitoring as more CCs will eventually be produced as he also nears max, and he'll be able to increase the frequency of him scanning.
Yeah, Hekno probably being a little strained at the multi-prong attacks, forgetting his upgrades, and that's going to hurt him in the long run once 3-3 is done.
And I think that's part of his plan. He's just trying to buy as much time as possible, trying to tax his opponent into forgetting a lot of the more common mechanics that he's required to do throughout the course of this matchup, as Pickles' ability to sustain his upgrades throughout the course of the game will allow him to do a timing attack, as this drop is going straight for the 4th, and I'm pretty sure this 4th is going to get taken out.
A lot more workers, 11 workers in total falling, and that 4th does get killed. Did it get killed or was it canceled?
It got killed in this case.
Ooh, it got killed. That's another huge investment. While Hekno still has a good bank, he can't be afforded losing everything, especially if he's stuck on 3 bases. Ooh,
feedback gets put down, and it kills 1 medevac as a cry of despair going out by Pickles, realizing that, holy cow, I just lost 2 medevacs, and I need to get out of here now.
These medevacs just barely holding on with about as little hit points as possible. Pickles getting so lucky with the healing and just the feedbacks not killing him.
And it seems like it's time to do an engagement. 3-3 is about to finish up. This is what we commonly call a timing, that, he's been working his way as he's even doing yet another drop, trying to force yet another cancel as his last few units. All the SCVs are getting pulled now. He has like 15 SCVs in this composition, and 3-3 barely finishes.
Oh, but with no Ghost, he's only just starting his Ghost Academy. This whole army is just going to get stormed, and it's just going to be a huge pile of red and Viking and medevac debris all over the place.
Pickles can do lots of medevac harass and try to buy as much time as possible, but he is going to preemptively split. But can he split to kill High Templars is the question now.
Well, all Pickles needs to do is just hold on until he can get out a few ghosts, and a DT Shrine is on the way from Heckno. We might see a few DT counterattacks as Pickles takes his 5th base.
And he's going to need forward pylons for those. Pickles realizes, hey, I need to keep doing some more drops, as he's going to go to the left side this time and even split
Oh, the
off
concave!
drop.
Ooh,
And here it goes.
Oh, the
Lots of
storms!
storms going down. As,
Oh, the Vikings are stacking and the Archons are hitting them!
This is the point we were talking about. He just does not have the composition to actually take this out, so a lot of that army supply was actually reduced. Although it seems very unfair and totally unorthodox, the Protoss composition is just going straight across the map.
All I can see is just that death ball rolling across the map in that StarCraft's episode. And just without any ghosts, you can't. There's nothing to do. I mean, the storms got laid, the Colossus got are still up. The Vikings really didn't do anything. The Archons were actually hitting them because the Vikings just weren't being controlled.
And more SCVs are going to go into the Colossus. They do 1,000 damage on this map, but unfortunately they could not reach the Colossus in time, as proxy nexuses are now being built. He's trying to tell his opponent to get out of the game because he already lost 30 SCVs. But unfortunately, there are command centers everywhere. So GG gets called. Heckno for Demios takes the first game for their team.
Pickle's just forgetting those essential ghosts even after seeing the High Templar. You need ghost against that, or else you're just going to get stormed into a pile of blood red.
And that's exactly what happened. I think he should have realized that that was going to occur, and he did an excellent job in buying as much time as possible, getting his upgrades out, getting his Vikings established, but he just needed to get that last element to his composition, and that was the Ghost Academy.
Skipping that Ghost Academy definitely was nail in the coffin.
So we're going to go into the 4th game of this series, and it's going to be held on Cloud Kingdom LE. For those of you that remember this amazing map from Wings of Liberty, it's the one made by Super O-Man, and it's got the weird plateau bases and really lower ground areas, massive canyons, so to speak.
Looks like Demos's manager correcting how we're pronouncing it. It's actually pronounced Demos and not Dimos or Dimos. Demos. Ooh, looks like IVD's using their wild card against in this matchup. Looks like Sky in the Sea for Demos, and IVD is sending out Averis.
For those of you just tuning in, it is currently 1-2 in favor of IVD. We're currently on the 4th match of the series, and this is a weekly event that we do in regards to Top Dog. These 5 players, different 5 players each time. They have a total of 10. Each of them are playing, and they're each playing for points as they are going through this series that is held for 8 weeks, as both of the players are in the lobby now.
We are using a Pro League setup for our first league. And, well, before I forget, go follow us on Twitter, go follow us on Facebook. Our Twitter is TDog_esports, I believe. And our Facebook is just Thunderdog Esports. So go look us up, follow us, and that just shows when we're streaming, when we have announcements to make, and just hopefully soon some content to show you guys.
Yes, as both players are ready, we're going to be doing a TVP on Cloud Kingdom LE. For those of you not familiar with what LE stands for, it means Ladder Edition. It is a Blizzard map, and it is going to incorporate HOTS units.
Cloud Kingdom, one of those retired maps. One of my favorite, personally. I really like how the map's set up, but Zerger just don't like it at all.
Right, so it's blue bar staring time. Both players are currently at max as we are inside of the map now. On the top right portion, we have our Protoss player from IVD. His name is Avarice. On the bottom left corner from Demos, his name is Sky and the Sea.
Cloud Kingdom is a really interesting map. Taking your third makes your main incredibly safe. Very little room to actually scoot in there and drop. So we might see two-base drop timing from Sky and the Sea here.
I'm going to take bets that there will be Blink Stalkers involved for Avarice. But that's
Blink
just my
Stalkers.
personal look.
Blink Stalker's also very strong, especially early on before the Terran player can get his production up and running, and Marauder slow just to be so annoying.
And mostly because of the fact that Marauders do a little bit more damage to Stalkers, but at the same time, these Stalkers have the capability of going up this plateau. They almost could go through almost any part of this plateau, so it leaves a lot of open areas.
So long as Blink is researched.
And since, a lot of builds in Wings of Liberty were focused on getting the Observer, now you have the convenience of building the Mothership Core to substitute for the range vision advantage that you can get whenever you're flying around with it, so it makes it a little bit easier.
Mothership Core, while a little low in hit points, does attack really, really quickly. It's able to take 1 or 2 Marines, but once you get about 4 or 5, then you want to scoot on out of there.
Yeah, you can definitely force a little bit of spells doing that, which I don't think I saw any during the last game. I didn't see any time warps going down, as the time warp can make the decision whether an engagement goes better or worse based on how much kiting is involved.
Yeah, so the Mothership Core last game was exclusively used for that Nexus cannon, but we're going to see Reapers from Sky and the Sea.
Oh, well, yeah, it's actually a good choice, too, because of the way you can just get in from any direction. So I would be expecting to see a Stalker immediately to be able to prevent this, as he does see the gas, and he does see that there's already something being produced from it, so he's not going to assume it's going to be a factory being made.
Avarice going for a bit older school Protoss build. Actually getting his second gas rather earlier than normal. Probably planning on a blink attack.
Yeah, we will see whether or not they focus on that, as the reactor is being produced right now for Demos, so there isn't going to be any odd Marauder push in this case, as the CC is being taken by Demos, or Sky and the Sea.
Avarice actually starting Warp Gate before getting the Stalker out. He should be aware of the Reapers coming around. I mean, here it comes, and the Stalker's not even being Chrono Boost.
And he realizes that too, so there's going to be a lot of focus for probes at this point, and it's really just like a 10-second difference, but a surround going down, forcing a little bit of mining time now.
Ooh, that surround almost catching that Reaper. If that Reaper would have got caught, Sky and the Sea would have just lost it for free, minus a little bit of mining time. But we're seeing Twilight Council get thrown down for Avarice, so we are going to see Blink.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility in this case. Avarice is using the map to his advantage, and I mean, these players have played in these scenarios already, and that's why these builds are being incorporated. So, I mean, it's not necessarily just, make your gateway and make a Nexus, or, make a CC. They're trying to look at the map and try to find some sort of advantages they can find before the game unfolds.
Well, Sky and the Sea did just finish his command center and is transforming it into an orbital right now. We do see, it looks like a tech lab going on for the factory, and the barracks is staying on the reactor. A little bit of indecision there from Merdimo's player.
As that SCV, I'm not sure if he scouted that or not. He is setting a bunker up already, and there is a forward pylon from the north. I feel like Sky and the Sea does anticipate that this build's coming, but isn't the bunker in the right spot is the question.
The bunker being on the ramp like that is going to hurt Sky and the Sea. He is making another bunker around the edge where Stalkers could blink up, but it's not like Reapers where that third, see where those crystals are, would actually block off a jump, I believe. The Stalkers can just blink right over it.
And this Reaper's really being annoying. It's buying as much time as he can. He does scout the base now. And I feel like the game sense of Sky in the Sea is a little bit more there, so to speak. Because he is putting down a third bunker, so he does anticipate this build coming. So it's not like he has not seen this before. So he's getting his Siege Tank out for extra damage against Stalkers. So I feel like this will be held off.
Siege Tank's a rarity to see nowadays. You usually see Whittle Mines, but it looks like we're just going back to good old Wings of Liberty play with Blink Stalkers out. And Blink is just about finished, about 10 seconds off.
And I'm not really sure if there's going to be any sort of area where this will actually work. If he blinks inside and skips bunkers, he will definitely be really, really committed to this attack, especially with his pylon being so far away that he won't be able to get immediate warp ins on this.
Well, Everise actually using the Mothership Core to see where the bunkers are, and it's just going to back off from this attack. He's expanding behind this, so it won't be a total loss. And we have a Dark Shrine coming out as well. And the Reaper actually saw everything.
Oh, the Reaper caught that?
Yeah, the Reaper just went right back through the base and saw the Dark Shrine, so we're going to see missile turrets getting thrown up here relatively quickly, and Double Forge coming down for Everise.
Yeah, the engineering bay is being produced right now, so it's going to put Sky in the Sea in even more defensive posture because he's going to need something a little bit more than just missile turrets. Everise is capitalizing on the fact that he's forcing his opponent to turtle in this case, so he's already getting his probes established on his NAT, and that will start to build as a small economic advantage for our Protoss player.
Yes, the Nexus is finished now, and Sky in the Sea not actually pushing out. Looks like he's going to just dedicate everything to this push right now, even though he does have that command center ready to go.
Yeah, he's going to have to find some way to get some damage out. He does have a bit of a supply lead, and I want to say he has, and also an army supply advantage. Although it seems like he has a supply advantage, it's more of the army that he was forced to build to defend against this attack. And I feel like if he lets this get out of control, that the probes already on the natural for Everise will eventually give him a big economy boost.
We're actually getting a little bit of a rare treat. It looks like our Demos player is going to mech.
Really? Yeah, he is. He's got 2 more factories in production. This is very interesting. There's actually one DT denying the natural for being created. So once again, this is actually even more of a delay for our Terran player. I'm not really sure if this is the smartest choice, just to let this go on.
Demos knows what's going on, and he knows that there's a DT there. There's a missile turret being dropped down, but scan finally went down as the Nexus just got the energy to scan. But I wonder if Everise actually sees the mech build coming.
Well, there are missile turrets everywhere now, and I do not see an OBS, so I'm sure he's a little bit confused on what's going on right now as he is deciding to do the SCV pull. He has 10 SCVs, and he faked doing an expand build, so now he's going to try to do damage. It's a very smart play by Sky in the Sea. He needs to do damage, otherwise he will just fall behind because his economy is not where his Protoss opponent is yet.
Sky in the Sea actually doubling the army supply of Everise. There is one Arcana out on the field, but with no Immortals to be able to just destroy the siege tanks or Zealots to... there's only a few Zealots to absorb the damage, and we'll see how Nexus Cannon can hold this off.
And here it comes, the Photon Overcharge actually gets created, but there is no siege mode, as an Archon's actually going around to flank, and he's trying to micro as mostly as he can, and the second Archon gets taken out, but there's just 4 more siege tanks, massive warp in for Zealots, and he has that excess funding, so he can do that, and now he's kind of creating a soft contain at this point. I'm surprised he's not sieging those tanks.
He's sieging only 1 or 2 of them. They do really heavy damage. I think it's because of the Zealots out there, but this attack should clean up the army.
Yeah, all the Zealots just got warped in, cleaned up most of the siege tanks, and I think the one is just there to just be able to bait attacks, so that way he doesn't attack his own Marines with the way the Zealots are just basically going in.
Siege tanks still do a lot of single target damage as long as they're focusing on an armored target. They do have a 1.04 attack speed.
And this attack got cleaned up. That was kind of a big loss for Sky in the Sea in this case. I think he bought enough time. No, he did not. His opponent still has almost 15 worker supply lead over the Terran player right now. So that's really huge.
Sky in the Sea losing that army just is going to hurt him so bad. That charge, getting that charge really early actually helped out a lot. Those Marines did not have a stim to do the damage necessary to kill off the Zealots fast enough, and the Archons just, well, they're being Archons.
Yeah, those are 360 health units, and they do a lot of damage to bio, and since there is a lot of bio units right here, they're going to work fantastically against this composition, as he is forcing his hand, and he's forced to pull yet again all of his SCVs. He's done this twice already, as siege tanks are being sieged, pylon is being put down, and I mean, it's really going to be based on, wow.
Well, Archon's doing all the work. You gotta remember, Hellbats are biological units, and well, Archon's just a direct counter. But it looks like Sky in the Sea is gonna hold off the attack, and that was a pretty ballsy forward pylon.
Yeah, and it just warped in a bunch of Zealots, and they have charge, but I don't think they fare too well against the couple of Hellbats that are created. So once again, this attack is held off, but there's still a huge worker deficit for our Terran player.
And Blue Flame was done. That was pretty much the key in holding off the Zealot, but the entire army for Avarice is essentially dead, and he's got to start warping in units, and looks like he's going to take a third behind it.
Yep, both players had to start over their supplies, as the resources lost tabs are pretty close together, about 800 in terms of difference, but the economy is just so much more explosive for our Protoss player.
Archons are definitely the way to go to beat this mech composition, but we're going to need some Immortals out to kill those tanks, but with some SCVs following these Hellbats. And wow, is that all the SCVs? That's all the SCVs, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all the SCVs from the main and all the SCVs from the NAT. This is an all-in. This doesn't mean, I can make another CC and just put mules everywhere. I'm pretty sure this will either end the game or, it'll just end the game.
Avarice is actually poking up with what army he has into the natural for Sky in the Sea, but Sky in the Sea can just lift, and he's moving into the natural.
I think this is the best thing that Sky in the Sea can get at this point, is to hide his CC and hope that he does not have a Stargate.
DTs are pecking away at the army for Sky in the Sea, and he's actually floating his CCs off. He's not going to have any scan. These DTs might actually do enough work.
Yeah, he's going to need to focus on getting rid of that Dark Shrine. Either the Dark Shrine needs to be killed first, or he needs to get that Nexus Cannon out of the way, as they barely get away, but they actually get killed. Now the next priority would be to get rid of those Dark Templar. There's yet another one inside of that composition. Really smart to hold that back by Avarice.
Avarice is actually losing those Dark Templar to the splash damage of the Hellbats. Hellbats attacking the building just so that they can kill the DTs. And the CCs are landing, and there's energy for a scan right about now.
And he does cast a scan, but there's just too much composition here as the probes get pulled. And here comes almost the sickest takeout for those Hellbats, but in this case, all those probes get away. GG gets called by our Terran player, and Avarice takes the game, and they are currently at 3-1 now.
Sky in the Sea doing the best he could with what he had, but it just didn't seem like he used his units as well as he could have, lifting off those CCs to make sure that they didn't die, but...
And, yeah, it's just the fact that he warped in DTs to be able to actually buy as much time as possible. That Dark Shrine was pretty much the key to his defense. We see that pretty much time and time again, where DTs are, either half across the map, or they are, on your attack composition, trying to force you to say, hey, do you have scans? Where's your Raven? Nobody builds Raven, so I can just build DTs.
But a very well played game from Sky in the Sea, all things considered. Like, he pretty much read everything straight off the bat. It was really, really interesting to watch.
Yeah, both players were anticipating everything, and it was basically a big SCV disadvantage because of all the attempts even trying to contain. There was just not enough units. You needed to find some sort of alternative method to getting back into the game. I think methods that could have occurred was kind of like the last game where there's just a lot of drops that could have bought time. Maybe even banshees for the way that map was designed, because there was such a huge space zone, I guess you could say, along the top end and the bottom end that was available for the Terran player. Those are different opportunities.
Looks like we're having. Looks like Daybreak is going to be our next map. And we're going to get a little bit of a treat. We're going to get to see IVD's Apocalypse come out. And is he still in the Premier League, Blaze? Or Premier League, the round of 16, I think? I know he was in the round of 32. I'm not sure if he advanced because, well, I fell asleep.
Well, he recently joined IVD, and he definitely was a member of the South Korean clan called Team Dead Machine before he joined Incredible Miracle. So this guy seems like he is pretty much a knowledgeable player, and it definitely seems like this will be a really good match.
Yes, Apocalypse was even a part of Quantic before they disbanded back in December, I believe.
So this will be a really good match in regards to this player, and we're just trying to figure out what he's going up against in this case.
We're still setting up the game, and well, it looks like it will be Daybreak LE.
And for those of you that are just joining in, this is our 5th match of a 5-game series. Currently, IVD is up 3-1, so they've currently won 3 points of their match. And this is a weekly event that we do throughout the course of a 8-month period. So if you have your own team, whether you have 5 players from different leagues, you can also participate in this and sign up by going to our website. That would be thunderdogesports.com, and you can submit your information through there so you can have your games playing through series just like the ones that we are casting right now, and even possibly represent your team.
EU players, we have our Top Dog EU League registration open now, and I do believe we actually have our first League of Legends Top Dog registration open to bronze and silver players. So if you got a team that's silver or bronze in League of Legends, or you got a team on the EU server looking to play in Top Dog, or just looking for teams to play against, go sign up on our forums.
And it's going to be a TVP on Daybreak LE. So once again, the TVPs are so amazing. That's why we have 3 of them, all straight in order. So I have a generic idea on what is going on for each of the matches. It's kind of like, it just builds up over and over again. And we're going to see what these players are capable of doing on this map, not just only on this matchup.
Yes, with Daybreak, we're gonna see a lot of drops. Apocalypse being a Terran player, and T-Bats being the Protoss player.
And the players have confirmed that they are ready to go, as we are about ready to start this match, as the countdown has begun. And here we go for the last match of the day for our Top Dog Week, Season 1, Week 5. On the top right corner of the map, we have our Protoss player from Demos. His name is T-Bats. And on the bottom left corner, we have our IVD player. He's Terran, and his name is Apocalypse.
Daybreak, one of those drop-heavy maps. Very, very, very much room to just boost medevacs around and be generally annoying. A lot of dead space around the main bases. And who knows, we might even see some War Prism play.
Yeah, that's definitely a potential to do any sort of damage throughout the course of the game. Terran can do drops, Protoss can do War Prism harass. There's also the ability to do DTs throughout the course of the game. So these are all things that players can do.
I don't expect to see anything strange like Apocalypse doing a mech build again, like our last game. But we should probably see Bioball with a little early pokes here and there, unless T-Bats just can't respond to the early pokes.
And we'll see whether or not he is capable of doing that, as although there was a little bit of odd leagues being displayed at first, that does not necessarily mean they are playing at that level, as all these players are qualified to, play competitively against each other.
Yes, and the gas is coming down for Apocalypse, so we are going to see a bit of a Reaper opening, but the gas was after the barracks, so we might see a 1-1-1 with Cloak Banshees. That's always a lovely possibility.
Slicer busting out the old school builds. He knows them in the back of his hand, so if you see him on ladder, he will probably do those against you, as the pylon is being forwardly created by T-Bats.
Oh, yes, those old school strategies that no one expects anymore. Like, you may see it, and you're like, there's no way he's doing this. This is outdated. He's got to be doing something sneaky. And then it hits you, and you're like, man, why didn't I respond to that?
And you know what? I agree with that. I actually had someone do the Korean 6 racks all in, and I barely scouted it whenever I did play against it, because I was familiar with it. I saw it a lot on HOTS beta. So there's a few, choice players you'll come up against who will do these off-the-wall builds. So, it's all on Team Liquid. I looked it up after I got out of the game, and I realized that, this is something that they used in even Wings of Liberty beta. So they're like, people were still doing these builds.
Apocalypse actually stopping his gas at exactly 100, being able to build that Reaper and a reactor, and being able to expand relatively early.
Yeah, he's actually just going to be able to scout with this Reaper just to figure out what's going on, if there's any sort of early tech or any sort of gas being produced by his opponent, in which in this case is secondary gas that's just barely taken. So this Reaper is going to try to do some damage. It's actually going to get its first probe kill as a couple probes come off the line, and this Stalker is barely ready. A little bit more successful for the Reaper this time, unlike the last game, where it actually has gotten 3 kills, so it's really good by that Reaper.
T-Bat's control really suffering a little bit, and then his frustration showing in the chat as he did lose those couple workers, and, well, that's just 3 less workers he's going to have.
And unfortunately, the Reaper is actually on an attack path to scout this Blink Stalker all in that's going to be created, as he just barely sees the pylon, and it's being chrono boosted right now. Really good scout by our Terran player that's able to verify this build.
Apocalypse only really looking for proxy pylons and just gets a little bit more, or a proxy Stargate either, but it looks like he just got lucky and found where he was.
Yes, and it's kind of the purpose of, hiding your proxy based on the map size. It doesn't necessarily have to be a small map like a Killian Waste. The Reaper is designed to scour the entire map to identify these things, as Apocalypse is trying to buy as much probe kills as he can, as he's already gotten 5, and it's only been 6 minutes.
T-Bat's not controlling his Stalker to his best of his ability. His SimCity's actually blocked it off a little bit, allowing that Reaper to escape. A little bit more control from T-Bats would have saw that Reaper dead.
And once again, the forward bunkers are being created, not necessarily on the ramp, but just on odd sides of where the Blink Stalkers will probably come in from, so that way they can mitigate as much damage as possible without having the Marines to be constantly picked off. So this is the right choice by Apocalypse in this case.
Apocalypse already pulling 3 SCVs to get ready to repair, because he knows this attack's coming. He's been scouting with this Reaper the whole time. He sees literally everything T-Bats is doing, and that Reaper is still getting more kills.
Wow, I wish I had that kind of control, because that would put Apocalypse in such a really good position in this case, because he's not going to waste his Warpins, although he is going to get 1 Stalker to come out, as this Reaper is just barely at 9 kills at this point. I'm not sure if this attack is going to do as much damage as he intends to now.
Oh, without any sentries there to block off the SCVs from repairing that bunker, the Stalkers are just going to die. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Stalkers are just going to die.
Yeah, they're just too big of a composition. Time Warp gets put down on the ramp, but that mitigates a lot of the reinforcements. GG gets called, and Apocalypse takes the series 4-1.
That really, really annoying Reaper that T-Badge just couldn't get rid of pretty much sealed the game. And, well, it looks like IBD takes it 4-1 over Demos.
Yeah, there was a lot of effort put into that harass, and I feel like it could easily come down to, seeing Lings and ZVZ, or in this case, seeing a Reaper in a TVP. He's putting so much emphasis on that early harass that he was able to get so many probe kills that he was able to reduce all those Blink Stalkers that would have been in his base. So he had 6 Blink Stalkers. If he had all of his money going through, he probably could have warped in like 4, 5, 6, 7 more. And he could have said to himself, man, my attack could have been so much stronger if I was actually able to, get those units out in time.
Well, everyone, that was all the games for tonight that we're streaming. A quick hour and a half, and we're already done. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. TDogs_esports for Twitter, and just Thunderdog Esports for Facebook. Follow us, like us, keep up on our news. EU players, go register for our EU Top Dog League. Bronze and Silver teams for League of Legends, go register for our Top Dog League for League. And we'll have announcements for even Dota 2 eventually.
So yeah, like Slicer said, make sure to follow us on our social media websites that are listed above. We will be here next week for week number 5 as we do the exact same thing that we are doing right now. So I look forward to seeing all of you next week. Thank you for watching.
Have a good night, guys.